I'm finishing up this ancient Egyptian stool, and I'm in the process of applying milk paint. This is the genuine old-fashioned milk paint. It's light cream. The original of this piece in the British Museum is white. It was painted white. So what I'm trying to do is get that look of the ancient piece in the museum. I mixed the milk paint powder with water, equal amounts of water. Then I used a sponge brush to sponge it on. Only one coat has been put on so far. Now, before I did the milk paint, this was, the wood is yellow poplar, and I dyed it. First put tannic acid on. The next day I put potassium hydroxide on, which turns it a brownish reddish color. I wanted a darker color underneath this white coat of milk paint. That's what I was trying to get, and I think I've achieved that. So that when I actually sand through the white milk paint in the corners, particularly where there would be wear, the wood is showing, and I wanted that wood to show up in a darker contrast. So that's the reason that I dyed the wood before I applied the milk paint. Now, I put the milk paint on this morning, and it only takes about an hour or so to dry. And so I've been using 320 sandpaper to sand this out. And what I'm doing is just working certain spots with this sandpaper. I need to knock off the raised grain everywhere, but in some places I'm removing more of the milk paint, especially on the corners and edges where there would be wear. And so a lot of that milk paint is coming off. And that's some places where it dripped a little bit more. I have to work that area. But this is smooth now after that sanding. There's a little bit more in here that I want to take away. So I work it a little bit harder. I'm pressing firmly here. So that feels nice. Now it looks a little splotchy and not even, but I think that's the look that I'm after. It's not a perfect kind of a finish that I want to have here. After all, this thing's several thousand years old, and it's going to show wear. Now, I'm not sure yet, but I may end up putting another coat of milk paint on and sanding again. And then another thing that I may do is burnish with steel wool. And that'll shine it up, give it a little glow. And then ultimately I may be putting a coat of linseed oil on the finally. But I'm fairly happy with the look here. It's, you know, I think I've got, yeah, I need to work this. This side has not been worked at all. And you can see how I kind of smooth out some of that splotchy area. And on the edges of the legs, the corners, those get a hard sanding down to almost bare wood. Right here at the joint, I'm going to work that a little bit harder to get it all smoothed out. Across these joints, they need to be worked a little bit harder. The drip, just knock that off. Milk paint dries very quickly, so that helps. It's also a very dry day and it's hot, so that's nice for finishing. As I mentioned, we saw this original piece in the British Museum recently in London. And I just wondered when I saw it how it was constructed, particularly this seat with its shape. How would you go about making that? So that was a challenge for me to figure out. And I used pinned mortise and tenon joints, like you see here on the stretchers, and then also, and I used ebony for the pin. The original shows pins. I like to fold my sandpaper 3 ways here, in thirds. It holds together that way, and I just like the way that works. About all I think I need to do on this face. Feels nice and smooth. This face has been done, so a little bit of wood shows through, and I'm pretty satisfied with way this is coming out. Oh, I want to check. Yeah, these rails down top of these rails I need to work. So that'll be the last thing I need to do right now.